Here we are. Okay. Good morning. Good morning, everyone. We're going to call this episode the number three because I guess we're on day 183, which means it's getting pretty close to being half a year that we've been doing this. So the reason I want to call it the number three is because that's one of the guiding principles that we kind of stumbled across. That's what I love about doing this, is you stumble across things and then later on there's a synchronicity of some kind or other that shows up that confirms that there was something magical in what you stumbled across. So it's really exciting to live life this way, by the way. And so what we found out about the number three, and the reason Jesse started this in the first place was because nothing seemed to be happening in a daily meditation ritual, I guess you'd call it, by himself. And then the two of us got together and things started to kind of pick up in that area. And then a few weeks after these sessions got started, we realized that something magical happened when you added a third person into the mix. And it kind of created another entity, like a fourth person, another entity. And then we called that the organism. which is interesting because it had a life of its own. And what was interesting is you could end the session and then come back later and kind of pick up where you left off. And it's kind of like there was this other entity that kind of kept track of what was going on for you, and you didn't have to be focused on it. You didn't have to be engaged with it or anything, but it would just continue on. And so I'll explain a little bit more about how I understood that. It's like three people getting together creates this co-creative space that has its own life energy. And it expands on its own. Like every other creation there is out there, it's always expansive. It's always it's not event driven, or it's not insight driven. It's more like it's concept driven. And the concept that you had in the beginning just keeps expanding on its own. It's kind of like, I don't know if you ever bought these, but there was a thing when I was a kid. I read a lot of comic books, and there was these ads in the back of the comic books about these things you could buy, and they were called sea monkeys. And you send away for them, and and you put them in water, and they would, like, they were freeze dried or something like that. I'm not sure how they work, but you put them in water, and they would become alive somehow. So it was, and they swim around, and you put them in a glass of water in a fish bowl or something like that, and they'd come alive and swim around, and they looked like they were alive. But anyway, it's like that. Or when my kids were small, you could buy these. They were actually some form of sponge, and when you put them in water, they'd expand. Like, and they were, when you bought them, they're really, really small, but you put them in water, and they'd turn into these big honking sponges that, I mean, they were really fun in the bathtub, right? Those kind of things. But that's the kind of thing I'm talking about when we got into this creative space, and we allowed things from the field to come into our awareness, and then we shared those with each other. They would just expand and get bigger, and you don't have to be focused on them. In order for them to continue to expand. And the magic of that was about the magic of three and the structure of three. So anyways, the reason I'm bringing this up is because I was listening to a YouTube video yesterday, and I'd probably heard this before, but I actually listen to these when I'm sleeping now, because they're so poignant, and so significant as to what's going on today. But Kryon is a benevolent entity that is that exists on the other side, that's channeled through a guy named Lee Carroll. And the two of them have been working together since 1989, I think it was, which is a significant year for me too. But he had mentioned that there's something magical about three that you're going to discover, and all this kind of stuff. And I listened to this thing yesterday, and I went, holy crap, that's us. So what's interesting to me about that is that that I've known personally since about let's say about 10 years ago. That I'm a channel, that I was getting messages from the other side, or from God. And the reason I knew that is because things would pop into my at the time, this is what I thought it was, that things would pop into my head that weren't I identified as that weren't my original thoughts. And so I just explored this and let it happen. And I'd be, a lot of times when it first started happening and I was aware of it, I'd be in a shower or something. And yeah, and stuff would just come to me. And then, shortly after it started happening often, I realized that the same kind of thing had been happening all my life, but I just wasn't aware of it. I wasn't aware that it was that, but these things that popped in were very unique and were different enough from what I would normally think that I knew that there was something going on, that there was something bigger than me that was actually happening. And so over the last 10 or 15 years, like I said, I really haven't known what to do with any of this stuff. And it's just coming to me now that it's time for me to speak out this stuff. And it's also time to find the others who are doing the same thing. So anyways, I was listening to this video, which was a compilation. What they do is, like, he's been doing this for over 30 years. And so there's, you can't imagine the number of hours of material, the hours of material that have been accumulated. Morning, Pascal.
Morning, Craig.
Yeah, I'm just talking about the experience with this and my own experience with channeling. And I was talking about, I ran across a YouTube video, which was a channeling of Cryon yesterday. And there was about 5 different things in that video that confirmed what we've been doing in this group. In the sessions in this group. And it turns out that well, they match up. Let's put it that way. And so what I was going to share too, and this is interesting, that all this has just happened in the last 6 months. In fact, we're on day 183 today. And I want to share this really quick because a really good example of a confirmation. There's a guy named Joe who lives in Halifax in the UK, who's been a part of this group in these sessions, and Jesse actually hired him to do some marketing work for him. And he was struggling with this marketing stuff, and I've been doing marketing myself for over 40 years. So I mean, I like helping with that. It's fun to do. So Joe and I started meeting together, and we were doing. It wasn't really a strategy session, but it was kind of like we started meeting together and just having phone calls between the two of us, and one day we were kind of creating together and writing ad copy together and doing stuff like that. And we decided that we would get into a creative space together and see what popped up. Well, about 10 minutes into this session, we were talking about different things that we would want to create. And Joe started describing this this online membership community and environment. And he talked about it being educational and being a place where you could come and play games together. And anyways, he went into great detail on this thing, and I totally freaked out because I just sat and listened to what he had to say. And he described this thing over a couple minutes. Gee, I wish I would have recorded it because it was phenomenal. But he described this community to me in detail. And the reason I freaked out was because over 30 years ago, I had designed that kind of a community, because at that time I was actually under contract to develop online learning. And I signed that contract about 6 or 7 years before the internet went public. And here was Joe describing this thing that I had designed over 30 years ago in detail. Like he knew about certain stuff, certain specific things that only I would have known. And what I realized then and there was that he and I had actually developed that way back then. What's really funny is at the time he was only 4 or 5 years old. And so somehow we had this, synergy that had been going on for years. And I don't profess to know how time works in the 5th and 6th dimensions, but we had been co-creating, and this was an other dimensional experience that Joe and I were having, and we realized that we had been having it for a certain amount of time, apparently more than 30 years. So we've been exploring that ever since. And the two of us have grown together to do stuff. Now I'm thinking, and the theme of today's show is about 3 and the power of 3. What I'm starting to believe is that there's a third human being that is part of that co-creation that's going to show up in our awareness one of these days soon. But it's all about timing and how that comes to be. So, hey, Allie, you're invited to join us if you'd like. I know you're probably listening. You're probably listening to the live feed, but that's okay. I'd love to have you here. So anyway, interesting thing is that when I was listening to Cryon yesterday, he was talking about these groups of 3 and about how they get together and create something brand new that's never been seen before. Now I should fill you in about this too, and this is a discovery. This is discovery for me. I have a lot of experiences in my life now that we discovered this significance of 3, and also discovered that that it was over 30 years ago that this design thing came into my awareness, there's a lot more examples of that same kind of stuff happening in my life. And a lot of things in the past few weeks that have kind of confirmed that too. So I was hired back in 1989 to develop online learning. And I'm one of those people that kind of got the ball rolling. A couple of weeks ago, I ran across a report by Forbes magazine that says that by 2026, the online learning industry is going to be worth $500 billion. And I'm one of the people that seeded that particular industry. And I have many examples of in my own life of actually doing that. Like over 40 years ago, I actually was headhunted out of college to and hired as one of the first computer animators on the planet. In fact, I could even be the first one. And at that time, none of this stuff was integrated. Like computers didn't have the whole application. It was like you had to combine a lot of analog stuff. Like I was an artist and a photographer at the time. And the only thing that a computer was used for at the time was playback, was synchronizing, was for synchronizing and working with timing. It used to actually control Kodak slide projectors, believe it or not, because you could send these projector signals and they'd flash and they'd hold and they'd do all kinds of different things. And so the creativity was in static artwork and a certain amount of programming the timing of the light that was used to project these images. And the technology at the time was actually called, at the time it wasn't called that, but later on it was called multi-image. But yeah, it was like that. Multi being a key word there, which is really funny too, because what we're dealing with here and these these synchronicities that I've been talking about are the term that's being used today for it is multi-dimensional. That we're actually it's kind of like we're sticking our toe into the water of higher dimensions. Like there's the bottom three dimensions are length, width, and height, and that is the material reality that we live in. I mean, everything's length, width, and height, or X, Y, and Z axis, and all the math and everything, and things like gravity and Newton's laws and all that kind of stuff have to do with the three dimensions. And the fourth dimension is time. So you've got the first three dimensions are space. The fourth dimension is time. And then there's other dimensions that are higher than that. And it was revolutionary when Einstein sat down, I think it was in 1905, and actually we got somebody coming in. Allie, you came. Awesome. Good to have you, dear.
Hello.
So anyway,
Hello.
it was in 1905 that that Einstein started basically doing what we're doing here, and started started diving into the creative space and playing in the unified field. And that's when he came up with the theory of relativity and the equation E equals mc squared. And equals mc squared had a lot to do with time and how time related to the other three dimensions that existed already. And so basically what we're doing here is it's a continuation of that work, but it's about exploring the fifth dimension. And I don't even know if we have a name for what that fifth dimension is yet, but it's coming in. And all this is happening at a very, very interesting time in history of the earth, and in history of human beings, and all that kind of stuff. So yeah. So since I got guests here, I would welcome you to ask some questions if you'd like. I don't know if anybody's tracking with me or not, but you can probably tell I'm really excited about this stuff.
Yeah, I want to hear more about the fifth dimension.
Okay, well, here's another thing that's very interesting about that is it's the fifth dimension is non-linear. Okay, and in the history of human beings, like especially since Sir Isaac Newton came up with his laws of physics and that kind of stuff, did a really good job of explaining the physical material phenomenon and the laws that govern that, like things like gravity and mass, and their laws about matter and that kind of stuff. And what's interesting about that is it kind of launched what they call the age of reason. And reason is very, very logical and linear and left-brained. Have you ever heard about that? Now, what's emerging now in a big way, and with Einstein and his theory of relativity, that kind of stuff. I mean, that was discovered in a very right-brained, conceptual, abstract way of thinking and way of cognitizing the stuff. And so that kind of it's right brain thinking that kind of gets us into the fourth dimension and figuring out how that goes. And so what I've come to realize, and this is pretty obvious, when you look at psychology and you look at different phenomena that we've seen in human beings, especially in the last 30 or so years, there's I don't know how to explain this, if it's in the gene pool or what, but there's a lot more people today that have that show up on the autism spectrum and that kind of stuff. And there's also psychological disorders, like things like attention deficit disorder and ADHD, and these are attentional kind of things. So there's things that are happening to the brains, to the physical to the physical nervous systems of human beings. And there seems to be more and more and more of them. And the common denominator about all these people is actually very nonlinear conceptual cognitive abilities that appear to be abnormal in a world where everything is based on linear, reasonable thinking. So of course, these people seem to look abnormal. But the truth is, actually, they're not abnormal. It's actually nature's way of creating people that can access, number one, higher levels of consciousness, but number two, higher dimensional realities than just space and time. And the whole earth and the whole of humanity is moving in that direction. And it's very natural. What's interesting is, though, that that science and medicine and psychology hasn't caught up to that fact yet, and hasn't really come to that realization in mass. I mean, eventually there'll be a tipping point where it starts to be understood that that's what's going on. But in the meantime, these kind of people are labeled as abnormal or even dysfunctional, or the word that's actually used in psychology is disorder, that these people are disordered in some way or another. Well, they're disordered because they don't operate in a linear fashion. Like their cognition doesn't operate that way. And I relate to that because mine doesn't either. And but I'm quite a bit older than those people that were autistic, for example. In fact, one of my children is autistic, is on the autism spectrum too. And so it was very interesting raising him, because we had a lot in common about how we thought about things, that kind of thing. So anyways, here's what I've found out about myself, because I'm experiencing a lot of things. A lot of things have come into the world on a large scale. Like I mentioned, online learning has turned into, over the 35 years or so that I've been involved with it, it's turned into a half a $1 trillion industry. And also, when I was working at that place, well, let's go back to computer animation. Okay, there is a good 20%, maybe even more, of movies that are created today use some kind of computer animation in their production. In fact, so many of them are hybrids you can't even tell anymore, and the technology has gotten to the place where it's
So good. Yeah.
where it's so good, like where they used to paint background mats and and act next to those backgrounds and those kind of things. Now they marry everything digitally,
Yeah.
They take live footage and marry it digitally with stuff that's created and paint and all that kind of stuff, and it's all done in computers and rendering and all that kind of stuff. And and you can't tell the difference anymore. In fact, pretty much everybody that makes a movie nowadays has a visual effects supervisor that actually works with that. And and I eventually actually worked in that industry for a while throughout the 80s. And I actually spent most of the 80s making analog or old time media stuff, like text and pictures and photographs and all the bits and pieces of that, making all that stuff digital so that it could be manipulated by using a computer. And it'll be interesting to see what happens when AI starts getting their hands on all that kind of stuff. But anyway, so an industry, that industry, the computer animation industry, that I was a pioneer in, I'm sure there's hundreds of thousands of people that are hired in that industry today, and there's more and more and more of them all the time. So there's an army of people that started with one, or started with a handful way back there in the early 80s, or all of a sudden there's hundreds of thousands of people that are working in those industries right now. And and I feel like I'm one of the ones that started it. So when I was working on online learning or distance learning, what they called it at the time, I actually designed a thing that I called the virtual classroom. And it was a space where there was a thing called video conferencing that existed at the time, and it was a pretty heavy duty technology. Like, it would cost, I think it was at the time, it cost $10,000 an hour to hook up people from all over the world. And this is in the days before you had correspondence, news correspondents that would actually have video hookups to each other. And in those days it was still news at 11, because they had to develop the film that was shot out there. So electronic news gathering started getting to be big, and then you could start doing it live and all that kind of stuff. But back then I designed a virtual classroom, and it was where you could have a whole bunch of people that could meet together. And this one, there was two versions of it actually. There was one that was just audio, so you could have audio hookups with each other. It used basic telephone type technology, and being able to bring a whole bunch of different voices, like have a lot of different people hooked up on the same phone line, so to speak, and do that. But the virtual classroom was where you had video as well. So everybody, there was a camera on everybody, there was a microphone on everybody. They could get together and talk together and discuss things. There was a way to, you remember in school passing notes in school. There was a way to pass notes to each other, and communicate like that, and kind of have background things going on like that. And at that time, there was a lot of smaller group work that was done. So there was a facility designed in this thing to be able to divide off into smaller groups. and have interaction with each other in these smaller groups, and then come back into the main room and report to each other, all this kind of stuff. Like I designed that back in 1990 or so. And believe it or not, here we are today using that very application, that virtual classroom that I designed. Here it is. And believe it or not, I'm using it on my phone. but so when I say that there's a lot of things that have popped up that I know that I designed, that I originated, it kind of starts to freak me out.
It's exciting though.
Well, it is exciting. And what I've come to realize is that there's a lot of us that do this kind of thing and have been doing this kind of thing throughout our lifetimes. There's a number of us on the planet that are starting to become aware that we are those kind of people. And it's not about getting credit for originating anything, but the truth is, and this is another side of channeling messages and information and stuff from the higher dimensions, is that this stuff is for the benefit of humanity, and it's nature's way of developing itself. It's nature's way of evolving, is another word that's used for that, of expanding itself. And just being able to participate in that stuff. And another realization I'm having too is that I've been downloading this stuff for all of my life, and there's a whole bunch of stuff, like I said 30 years ago, the virtual classroom, that actually showed up in reality. I have thousands of those that I've downloaded over my lifetime, and every single one of them is looking for another two people to actually develop that concept and bring it into reality. And I don't know who those people are yet. But so what I keep doing is I keep getting into groups of 3 and and finding out which seed matches with which people.
Sounds like a good place to start.
Well, yeah, exactly. So anyways, but I'm just kind of feeling my way around here to figure out how this works, and being extremely experimental and very open to what is there, and following the synchronicities, and developing really interesting relationships with people. Wouldn't you say, Allie?
Yeah, that's what it's all about, isn't it? Like it's relationships or
yeah.
everything.
Well, and the whole thing is about co-creation. And the thing that really excites me is that I don't have to do this alone anymore.
Yeah. Definitely.
Because I never had, throughout my life, I just haven't had anybody to work with. Now all of a sudden these people, all of us are showing up in groups like this, and it's like, and I just wonder what's in this relationship, like what's in the for example, we're right here.
What's
We've
an
got
occasion?
Pascal, we've got Ali, and we've got Craig in a room together. Ali is in Western Australia. Pascal is in Canada, and I'm in the US. And here we are meeting, and meeting kind of virtually, so to speak. And we're sharing ideas, we're sharing energy, we're occupying an energetic space together. We are interacting, we're interrelating to each other. We are, even though this isn't really intentional or obvious, we're actually co-creating an environment together, an energy pocket or an energy organism together. And we can take that wherever we want to take it. And I'm submitting to you that this activity is fifth dimensional. Like we are interacting in the fifth dimension. It's beyond space and time. And we don't even have to be aware that that's what we're doing. But that's what we're doing.
Mhm.
And someday we aren't going to need the electronics to be able to do this. And that could show up faster than you think.
You're
And
talking, we're going to be doing it like telepathically.
Yep, totally.
Right.
And every human being on the planet right now has these abilities. They haven't been in our awareness. They haven't been, I was going to say they haven't been developed. That's not true. They have been developed, but kind of outside of our awareness. And that's what I would say for me about the last 10 or 15 years, especially, is that what I realized, my life story basically says that in the background, all of these higher dimensional abilities of me that I had, that were innate in me as a human being, have been developing. And in the last 15 years I become more and more aware of them, that I've had them all along, and that they have been developing throughout my life, and I just keep looking for more and more opportunities to practice them and exercise them and take them out to play.
I think part of it is because of your near-death experience.
Yeah.
Like you've been
sure.
reconnected. So it's like, it's all a matter of remembering. It's not about learning. It's about like remembering. Like for what I hear from like very intuitive people, they're like, oh, I remember how to do it now.
Yeah.
I tapped into it. right? They didn't learn it from a book or like from someone else or anything like that. It might spark something, you know, like you might hear someone and be like, wow, he's just telling the truth. Like, I
Yeah.
know it, right?
Yeah.
But but the truth of it, like, is like we all know it already. You know, we just forgot how to do it.
Yeah.
So you're just less amnesia than most people.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
That's how I see it. Because we all come here and we don't remember a thing.
Yeah.
And the goal is to remember who we really are. So the self, right?
Yeah.
The higher self. Like we're here to experience things, but yeah, it's just in the contrast to remember who we really are.
Yeah.
You know? Because I think the big word here is detachment. Detaching ourselves from this physical lower mind, person, suit, whatever you want to call it. Because that's not who we are at the higher level. Like I said, like we're 2 to 3% of our higher self. So
Yeah. Yeah.
so who do you want to follow? You want to follow that 2 to 3%, or you want to, you know, tap into that 97%?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it can be difficult to have the
Right?
courage to
So,
go there, to
a little
explore
bit.
the 97%.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, because nobody's doing it.
No, exactly.
Which
And
is
I
another
just
reason
heard
for the
that,
power
like,
of three, because you can get together and explore that with other people, and then it's not so scary, right?
yeah, and then the thing, like, why does it have to be scary, right? Like, it's who we are. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
why are we
right.
scared of ourselves?
Well, yeah.
You know, and then like knowing that we all fuck up in our life. We all did, you know. We probably killed, like all these things. Like we all did it, I'm sure, you know, because it's to remember who we are. Okay, I'm not a killer. Okay, who I am. Like, right? Like, so you all have all these bad experience. You steal, you do this, you do that, and be like, at one point you're like, oh, that's not me, you know? Like, I'm not a stealer. Like, I'm gonna stop. And now you remember, oh, okay, like really who I am. I'm wisdom and love, you know, like that's at the true core of myself, right?
Yeah.
And one analogy that like I heard that I thought was so profound. The sun in relationship of the weather. So think that like the sun is your higher self, and you know, tornado, wind, like tsunami, all these bad weather, right? So that is like your experience in life. But the relationship to the sun will always shine. It will never be touched. Right? So you can have all this bad karma, turmoil, all that stuff, but the sun will never be affected. So like yourself will never be affected from it.
Yeah.
I like that.
Right? So at the true core, you are the sun. And we all experience these clouds, these, you know, these bad events, and we call it bad, but that's not who we are.
Right.
So a tornado in our life is just to remember who we are, you know? But if you think like, okay, that's not me, I'm just going to tap into my higher self, then that's it, right? Like it sounds so simple, but you know, but we associate ourselves with this physical body, this mind, this lower mind, this ego mind identity. Oh, I'm this. I'm say something after I am entity to yourself, and that's not true.
Yeah.
Right? So
Yeah, there's something weird that happens when our true self, that's actually an eternal being. There's a weird thing happens when that eternal being gets encapsulated in a human body and has an individual experience of that. Like the whole thing about going from being part of this huge oneness to being an individual is kind of a shock. Actually.
oh yeah, for sure.
And we think that's who we are, that this individual is who we actually are, and that might be true in the four dimensions in space and time, but it's not actually true once you realize that you're part of the higher dimensions. It's like, okay, where do I end and you begin?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that's the fifth dimensional area. Is like you realize that there isn't any true distinction between you and me once you start operating in that higher dimension, that higher dimensionality. Okay, and then you also realize that you're not constricted by space or time either. And like you can tell you actually have the ability to teletransport if you knew how to do that. You know, in Star Trek, when they transported themselves got in transporter room and transported themselves to another planet and did that kind of stuff, that was so revolutionary. I remember when I first saw that on television, I went, holy crap. But there was something in that. There's something in that that suggested that was really possible to do. You know, that you didn't necessarily need a rocket to get to the moon. Which ran really counter to what was going on in the world at that time.
Good morning.
Good morning, Cindy.
Good morning.
Welcome.
Good morning.
Good morning. Craig, you bit on that and not letting it go. That's who I am, Cindy.
Mhm.
Love you, baby.
Ooh. Let the games commence.
Exactly.
Well, listen, guys, you have a great day. I'm shooting off to bed. It's been a really long day, but it's been a pleasure being on here listening to you guys. You have the best day.
Big love, Allie. Thank you for
Thank
coming
you,
on.
Allie. Have a
Hi,
good night.
Allie. Wonderful dreams. How do we learn to teletransport? How do we remember how to do that? I want to teletransport. I think that
Yep.
would be so cool.
It's coming. It's already part of the.
No, she wants to do it right now.
Well, you want to do it. You want to do it right now.
Yeah.
You know
Yeah,
something?
There's no time. There's no time.
I bet if we actually asked a question and got asked a question around that and got into co-creative space together, we would come up with an answer.
I bet we could do it.
Well, of course we can do it. I mean, it's not a
Experience.
question about whether we can or not. But a lot of this stuff has to do with timing as well. Like
Hello.
you know how just looking back on your life in the last couple of years, you notice how your awareness has picked up momentum. You know, like you're aware of so much more today than you were a year ago.
Yeah.
Okay, your awareness of reality. Well, there's a lot of catching up that needs to happen in order for stuff like that to be done in this three-dimensional reality that we live in. Like what I'm saying is the collective consciousness has to be more aware in order to be open enough to accept that kind of thing happening. Like it's not dependent on us individually. It's kind of dependent on the collective consciousness.
Okay. I almost buy that. I had an experience. Well, two experiences come to mind, but three now. I'll capsulate them real quickly. One, I was sitting in a large audience of people at church, and the leader of the congregation was talking, and his conversation changed from us to speaking to Nelson Mandela. Nelson Mandela was walking out of prison. His head was down, and he told him, "Lift your head up." And we were all like, some people, of course, are not ever paying attention, but many of those that I was in tune with in that congregation noticed what happened, and the energy in the whole auditorium like shifted, like blipped for a bit.
Yeah.
And then he came back. and spoke to us and said, "It will turn and overturn until he whose right is." And then he went on and he was speaking, to the congregation again. So that was one experience of experiencing someone teleporting, right?
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
knew exactly. It's like I had no veil of question as to what I had experienced. Another time, I was a young girl, and it was always my job to come home, get dinner started, get my homework done, had a kitchen clean and a table set. But my great grandmother came and took me away. But I told her I couldn't go because I had my chores to do. And she said, "Don't worry, I got Lois." And she took me somewhere. But I was back at the house. Dinner was cooked, the table was set, and my mother was putting the key in the door. So that was that experience. Um, the other one escapes me at the moment. Oh, I was with a group of, it was like seven of us. It was during what we call holy days, where we would meet at the church at 4 in the morning, have testimony and prayer. And then but we were the youngins, so we kind of like skedaddled off and we went to one of the members' homes, and we were all sitting on, they didn't have no furniture. We were sitting on the floor in a circle talking and relating. And we ended up going somewhere all together and then coming back. So like, I can't tell you where we went, but we left the stratosphere of this earth. So I don't, I don't, I'm not really sure that, I think intention is the most important thing. Teleport and awareness that it can and is happening. What do you think about all of that?
I would say desire and intention.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
See, here's another thing too. As we access higher dimensions, then things can happen out of order.
I think it's out of order now.
Well, yeah. It looks like disorder from a 3D perspective. Yeah,
Yeah.
a lot of things look like disorder. But here's a really good example of that. Okay, and I know you'll be familiar with this. You know the story of the disciple Philip and the Ethiopian eunuch.
Dress up the story a little bit. I'm kind of.
Yeah, I think it's spoken about in the book of Acts.
Is that the one where he asked for Jesus to heal his servant, and he said, "Jesus, just speak your words"?
Nope.
Okay.
This is the Ethiopian eunuch. So anyway, one day Philip finds himself in the middle of a desert, on a road in the middle of a desert, and there comes an Ethiopian guy in a chariot, and he asks Philip. He said, "I'm reading the scriptures and I don't understand them. Can you tell me what they mean?" And so Philip tells this Ethiopian guy what the scriptures mean and unfolds it to him. And then after that thing is over, Philip is transported to another place. And that's what I'm talking about. I mean, it's in scripture, for heaven's sakes. Teleporting is in scripture. It's right there.
So teleporting is different than astral travel and remote viewing, right?
Well,
Or is
it's
part of it?
It's ending up, okay. Here's Philip in space and time. Okay, he finds his body in a totally different place than he was. He doesn't even know where he is. He doesn't have any reference point to it, but he knows he's somewhere else. And then synchronicity pops in, and this Ethiopian shows up on the road. So it wasn't intentional on Philip's part to be there or do that, but it was something that happened spontaneously from higher consciousness.
So in that story, who
But
asked
he
the
was,
question?
but he was sent there. The Ethiopian asked the question.
The Ethiopian. Okay. Your sound is going in and out a bit.
Oh, no, I can't hear.
I think we lost Craig.
We lost Craig.
He's
He's teleporting. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
An organism that's created.
Yeah. Where did you teleport, Craig?
Well, I didn't teleport.
Yeah, I think so. I think you did.
Yeah.
Yeah. You were gone. You were gone.
Oh, was I?
Yes.
I just met you for dinner, and you came back.
Yeah, the numbers even went down. You didn't know that you broke away?
No, I didn't.
It went down.
I'm
it
doing
went to
compost. Yeah, yeah.
2.
Hey, Cinderella, do you know how to make me host again?
That was fun.
Oh, I'm host.
Go to the participants page.
Got you.
Okay, and then and then touch my ID on that participants page, and you'll get there's 3 dots at the bottom. There you go. Awesome. Thank you. Yeah, I don't know what happened there. That was interesting.
The universe is having fun with us this morning.
Well, of course. Yeah. I mean, this is all about playing around with things that we've had access to our whole lives, but for some reason, for some larger intelligence reason, I'm sure, a lot of this stuff has been obscured from our awareness, because there's a divine pattern unfolding that we're a part of, that we can participate in. as much as we want to. You know, I'd love to be the first one on the planet that teletransports.
I think people are doing it already.
Well, it could be.
I think our spirits are already going out before us, but to get the physical transportation experience, I think that is yet to be perfected.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Because, you know, there's a lot of people that are doing energy healing from a distance now.
Yes.
A lot of people doing that. And you know, 10 years ago, nobody would have thought of that. But since COVID happened, all of a sudden now we've got all these connections with people all over the world. And we've come to realize that we can actually share energy from a distance and do energy work and relate energetically and share auras and all kinds of stuff like that. Like I know in the past 2 or 3 years that I'm just getting more and more attuned to my own energy, my own internal energy workings and all that kind of stuff, and also the energy of the planet and the energy of the collective, and you know, just like, yeah, I've just come to realize that I'm really sensitive to all that.
Yeah.
That's a new development for me.
There's a definite awareness of self and how we interact. You know, so when we meet people, you can say, no, that's not gonna work, or you know, like you're looking at dating and stuff. So you can get like a feedback off a person that, I don't know, their energies doesn't make me feel right, or that doesn't mix well with me. You can, you can pick that up.
Oh yeah.
But that's being aware of your own energies as well, and what you want and what you don't want based on you. And it's not to say that there's anything wrong with other people. You know, oil and vinegar just doesn't mix. It's not the optimum combination for you to bring out the best in you or you and them. And that's okay. But it's to be aware of that and not be a chameleon and just conform to somebody else's energy and let them use your energy.
Isn't that a key one?
Which one? Conforming?
Oh, conforming and adapting. Hey, that was a huge realization for me when I started doing this work, because I realized I kept getting myself into situations where I was adapting. I was adapting myself to other people's energies because I could, but I wasn't aware that that's what I was doing.
And you can lose your me.
Yes.
In doing that too much, or in being in other people's energy zones. I call it, as I said it yesterday, compliant no more.
Yeah, it can deplete you actually,
Oh yes,
which is what happened to me.
and me too. I'm
I
just getting.
was trying to maintain everybody else with the energy that I had, and my energy blueprint shows that I can't do that. that I have limited energy of my own, and
You're-
that
You're actually more energetic when you hold your own energy.
well, true, and you're kind of disabled when your own energy is depleted.
Yes.
You know, that's why for someone with an energetic blueprint like mine, I gotta rest a lot. I just have to. It's necessary. What's
And
interesting is when I rest, that's when I'm the most fruitful. It's really like,
mhm.
and it's not performance oriented. It's the opposite. It's like when I rest, I get productive, which is kind of the opposite of of the prevailing doctrine of the 3D. It's like you get active, something happens, and I go, no, when I rest, something happens.
Mm.
Yeah.
So that's like when people say, for example, you know how some people can't be alone, like they can't be home by themselves for too long of a time or go out to dinner by themselves. When you feel incensed about those things, well, like I'll use going to dinner by yourself because it becomes really obvious that you're by yourself to you and to others, right? And some people are uncomfortable with it, and even some people are uncomfortable seeing other people by themselves, right? It's like, oh, how can you do that? How can you just go to dinner by yourself? But you come face to face with your own individuality and oneness.
Yeah.
And it's good to practice that, like being okay being by yourself. For years, I always had someone around me. The only time I was by myself was going from work to home and home to work. Boy, that was like, and I would just zone out. It was just like, oh, great. And now it's just totally the opposite. It's like, I actually have to notice that I've been by myself. I said, oh, I need to get out and just, mix it up with some other people for a bit.
Yeah. Yeah, there's actually very distinct energy types.
Yeah.
That's it's the way our I guess you could say, because it is the way our physical body actually we don't really process it, but it's the way our physical body is designed to facilitate energy. Let's put it that way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. and there's very distinct differences. Like when I said I don't have a lot of energy of my own. That's what I was talking about. It's kind of like it's kind of like I gotta find a shooting star and attach myself to that in order to really excel. I guess you could say that.
I missed that one. You saying you don't have any energy of your own. What is?
Well, it's not that I don't have any energy of my own, but my own, my energy type is one that doesn't really generate its own. Like it does, but it's in limited quantities. I'm an energy type that requires other
Energies.
other people to excel. Okay, and that's a big thing. Like what we've been talking about in this session all day was about the power of three, and I was trying to explain what that actually means to me. And my energy type requires some interdependence in order to operate at its full capacity. Like it requires some other people and some interaction and other stuff like that in order to really go. But the thing is, I've been really, really creative throughout my life, but most of that I was working in solo, like as a solopreneur, to use today's language, and I just got depleted. I just got depleted by trying to do everything myself, by myself.
Yeah,
Being responsible by
that.
myself. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And what's coming to me now is that it's really important for me energetically to create what I'm creating from here on out, but to create it as a part of an integral part of a team, or part of a grouping, part of an energy combination.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. And so, and I understand my role as someone that is preconceptive. Like I'm the one that carries a whole bunch of sparks in me, and all these sparks are looking for a group of three to give them a place to ignite. It's like when you're starting a fire, you start with kindling.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and you light that kindling. I'm looking for the kindling to go with my spark. That's going to create a fire.
Yeah, so you're a spark. But you're looking for where your purpose is purposed.
Yeah, exactly.
But you've got a right not to give off your spark in places where it's not
right. Yeah,
received.
I've been lighting the spark in places where there isn't any receptive kindling, or where the kindling is wet.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And I didn't have the wisdom at that time to know the difference.
Yeah. You trying to cause a beautiful warm bonfire on wet kindling, and especially when that kindling chooses and has its purpose to be what it is. So was it not casting pearls after swine?
Well,
gotta
no,
know.
no, it's
Gotta
not.
know.
It's not really that. It could be a matter of readiness.
Yeah.
Or it could be
Timing.
it could be that an awareness came at that they didn't want to
Be kindled.
engage in or respond to.
Yeah. I get it. I get it. You gotta respect people and their energy zones where they are at that time.
Well, yeah, it takes two to tango. And
Right.
if somebody decides halfway through the tango that they don't want to be part of it anymore, then that's the way it is. You know, there has to be there has to be mutual engagement
Yes.
in order for this stuff to work. You know, and I've even noticed that as we've done work together in this group, in these sessions, is that there's certain explorations that we engage on, and there's some people that just don't want to go there, and so what they'll do is they'll distract the flow in some way or another because there's something there that feels unsafe.
Or unfamiliar.
Well, yeah, but it's not always unfamiliar that causes that. It might be some kind of a memory or some kind of an emotion or some kind of a feeling that that says it's not safe for me to participate here. No,
Yeah,
it's
like
not.
yesterday when I experienced the door,
Yeah,
I could have been uncomfortable with it.
Yep.
I could have been afraid of it. I could have been mad at it. I could have been scared of it. But I don't think I ever saw that door before. I didn't recognize it for what it was. And yesterday I pulled back the brush and opened the door. So, you know, there's feelings where people will divert because they just don't know, or they don't see, or they're not curious at that juncture to go through. And I'm sure that door's been there like my whole life.
Yeah.
But it just seemed so easy yesterday to just breathe through it. But it wasn't easy because my chest was like heavy and comfortable. And
yeah.
I, you know, it was physical pain, but understanding super consciousness and wisdom, it was just like, okay, breathe through this. And it wasn't like it was an order or a pressure to do it. The pressure was in the body telling me to be afraid, but in my spirit mind, it was like, it's, you know, let's do this. It's okay.
Yeah. Well, and you sense that there was a number of people with love energy that was in the mix too. And so it wasn't like you had to bear that alone either.
Exactly. So that was
Yeah,
like
yeah.
your sparks saying, yeah, this is a rite of passage, Sindrell. Let's go through.
Yeah, yeah. You know, that's one thing. That's one thing I learned about marriage is that when I've only been married once, but and when it started, there was a lot of hopefulness,
Mhm.
and for some reason or other, there came to a place where she got spooked somehow and decided that she was going to disengage.
Right.
And my response to that is I held space. I held the possibility that she would come back. And with my with the energy type that I am, that's not a recommended modus operandi.
Yeah.
Because I couldn't maintain the space. I couldn't maintain the hope without feedback or encouragement.
Yeah, you can't maintain a dual relationship by yourself.
No. And in fact, what's interesting is like I never put any pressure on her at all. I certainly didn't force anything, but I never put any pressure on her at all. And what ended up coming back to me was rage and hostility. Like it was really, yeah, it was really angry.
Is it, I'm reaching here, is it because you represented the leading edge, which was not what she bargained for? She bargained for what she stepped into with you and for it to stay the same.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like I wanted to keep growing and she didn't.
Yeah. And placate the reality of everyday life to be like the Stepford Wives.
Yeah. And it's it's unfortunate too because it's unfortunate too because she had this huge wounding by her father, and it was kind of like she kind of took that out on me. It was really quite fascinating, actually.
Well, she was holding on to, even, people hold on to bad cloaks of existence, even though it's doesn't offer them life more abundantly.
Because they're hugely charged, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. And so they're used to the fix, they're used to the charge. And that stuff grows and grows, and those people around them get whatever is charged the throw off of the charge.
Yeah.
And especially when you stay and keep receiving it, that just reinvigorates it to boomerang back and forth and back and forth and grow and grow and back and forth.
Yeah.
So that's when, we have to say, okay, I'm not going to participate in this. But
Yeah,
because in society, it's like, no, till death do we part. Well, guess what? You killed me 1,000 times already. So I'll go apart.
So here's the big learning for me is I need to be very, very selective and correct about who I hold space for.
And with.
Well, and with, yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, yeah. See, but to me, it's the same thing because it's, yeah, because I interact with people. I mean, that's part of my nature.
Mm-hmm.
And I have a huge capacity to go deep with people if they want to go there.
Me too. I get it.
Yeah.
I get it.
But the thing is, I've kept that space open to people that, and it's not that they didn't deserve it, because it's got nothing to do with that kind of thinking, but I kept space open for people that let me know time and time again that they weren't gonna go there, that they weren't gonna go there. And so and so I held that space open. I held that space open for years in hopes that they'd finally step into it. But here's the other thing too. You got this marriage commitment in the background of all that. And let's put it this way. I don't believe in marriage till death anymore. I really don't. Like that might be for some people, but it sure as hell isn't for me, because it just doesn't. Because the thing is, I'm loyal to the people that I'm loyal to, whether there's a contract there or not. In fact, that's kind of been a weakness in my life, is my undivided loyalty. It's cost me a lot. Because it's been misdirected.
Yeah, you were doing too much. You were giving too much.
Yep.
It's like making a cake. I love vanilla, but if you put too much vanilla in it, just ruins it.
Yeah.
So you only give that measure to which you add value.
Yeah.
And it's balanced with the other ingredients, and it's called self-value.
Yeah. Well, here's another thing. From childhood, for me, I was the one that maintained the emotional well-being in my family of origin, and that includes for my dad, for my mom, for my brothers and sisters. Like that was a role that I took on.
Yeah, but like, who asked you?
Well, the interesting thing was that was the intention behind me coming into existence.
I got that, but sometimes we can put too much of ourselves into a situation.
Well, of course.
Yeah.
How's a fetus going to understand that?
Well, you grow up and and it stings you when you find out that you're not valued, and you reflect, and it might even hurt, or you're dejected or rejected.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Even though that's what you were set up for.
yeah, but you can still put too much vanilla in the batter. Your gifting is only a gift where it's received. But when it's too much, it's like milk in a glass. You keep filling it up, but they're like, I don't even know what to do with this. The dosage is 2 teaspoons every 8 hours. But when you're given the whole flow of you to a situation, it's more than what people's spirits are ready to receive or even need. But because
it's more than I'm capable of giving as well, energetically.
But you feel inclined to keep giving the best of you, which is all of you, and it's too much. And then you're the only one lost. So it's power and rejuvenation and self-love, and it's not selfish to just withhold. Let's just put a little baking soda in and see how things react.
Yeah.
And if it needs a little more, you can give another pinch. But over giving is too much. What is it? Supply and demand. It's better to give less.
Yeah, I think the key word here is like deep listening. It's like you give to someone. It's like I experienced it many, many times during COVID. You know, I try to awaken as many people as I can. And what I realized, it's like they're not open to receive it. So, and then like you're depleting yourself because you give, and then you give so much information, you're rumbling about things, and they don't want to hear it, you know, and now you waste all that energy, right? So it's really now, like, it's really, okay, well, I'm going to give you one piece of information, and if you're receptive to this, then I'll give you a little more and a little more. But I won't give you the whole pie. I'm just going to give you a piece of it and see if you like it first. Yeah. Right. So, but there's never enough vanilla. Cinderella vanilla is the key.
Yeah, something's missing.
No, but that's the thing. Like, and then what I see with you, Craig, it's like you have a hard time to detach from people.
Yeah.
You don't know what your energy is and what's their energy is. So you combine both energy together and you grasp towards it. And now you're like, okay, well, they feel better and I feel worse. You know what I mean? Like empath does that a lot, right?
Yes.
So they're so compassionate. They go through their story together. But it's like when you're watching, like I mentioned that if you call, like you're watching like an horror movie. Well, some people it really affect them. They can't even sleep. They can't, you know, they can function the next day. And other people, it's just like, you know, let's watch another one tonight. And why is that? Because like they're able to detach from it. So.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll go back on mute again because it'll get loud again. But yeah. But Beautiful conversation. Love it.
Yeah, so for me, since experience in burnout 16 years ago, it's been my key learnings have been about my own energy blueprint and how to consciously, I don't want to use the word manage, but it's kind of like that. It's kind of how to direct it, or how to orchestrate it is a better word for it. I mean, that's part of the reason why I keep coming back to this every day, is because I'm practicing that. I'm practicing the orchestration of my own energy, and how energy interacts with me.
And how to get what you need to be your best self, your better self.
Yeah. Step more into the true nature.
Mm-hmm. Some plants need more water, some need more sun, some, if you give them the same amount of water, you did something else because water's good for it, you're killing it.
Yeah, that's a good metaphor. That's a really good metaphor. You know, a lot of this is about being sensitive to, and then tuning into your inner authority.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, that's a huge piece.
And yeah, authority, you get to choose and define and tell and respect and guard what you need.
Yeah,
if something's too much for you, I'm out. I'm no offense. I'm good. I see you later.
Right. Yeah.
And you can care about somebody being offended, but you can't there's no need for you to oversaturate yourself in order for someone else to feel good about themselves.
Right.
Well, they may need something.
Truth is, that's their own choice.
Yeah.
You know?
They may need more of you, but you don't have more of you to give it.
Yeah.
At a healthy degree, so they get it somewhere else, and they end up getting it somewhere else.
Yeah. Well, here's another thing too, is my energy is not designed to be devoted to maintenance. It's designed to be creating stuff from scratch. It's designed to be that initial spark.
Mm-hmm. You're an initiator.
Yeah, and when I get in maintenance mode, when I direct my energy towards maintaining something, it drains me.
I think that happens when you allow yourself to be perceived as the maintenance, and you're just the fuel to get it started. And then if the person wants, they're responsible for that, not you.
Yeah. So part of this is around understanding responsibility as well.
Mm-hmm. And letting people learn to walk on their own in their own life.
Yeah.
We don't have to carry other people no more than other people need to carry us. It's a mutual consolation as long as we're interacting, but we're really not responsible for each other. We're support for each other, but you can't take on living a life for someone else. Every tub has to stand on its own bottom. You need help sometime, and that's okay. That's a spark.
Yep.
And it's like, now, okay, let me fly. And the resentment very often comes in when they feel dependent on you because they got that spark from you. But the real thing is when the mother throws the bird out the nest, then the bird can exhilarate in being what it is instead of always staying connected and dependent to another source of existence, because then they end up living you in some abnormality way versus living themselves out of their own spirit selves.
Yeah.
Who wants to stay hooked up? What's that saying? If you love somebody, let them go. If it's meant to be, they'll come back. So it's okay to come back to the filling station, but you don't want the filling station to feel responsible for your flight.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, we got a good thing going. You want to do this? Yeah, I really want to do that. It's either a quick yes or a hell yeah. Hell yeah, I want to do that. But it's not like, I don't know if I want to do that. No, then don't do it. Don't do me no favors doing something that you're not thrilled to do. It was in the 70s. It was like, you're bringing me down, man. You're bringing me down. It's like, it's a vibe,
Yep. Yeah, and my hearing acuity is expanding, and that's a good word, acuity. I like that.
I like it too.
Yeah. And just takes more practice,
Yeah.
You
And
know,
sometimes
practicing our psychic and intuitive skills is something that there's not a heck of a lot of opportunity to do that in the world today.
Yeah.
Like in a true way,
Mm-hmm.
In a way that's not tied to making some kind of income. Is what I mean.
Or conformity or expectation of conformity.
Yeah.
Like here, you can just be you. Be you.
Yeah.
And even if you get introduced to some other aspect of you you've never met before, enjoy the awkwardness right here in this space of what is my me here?
Yeah. Well, you know how much I enjoy the awkwardness, right?
Yeah. That's where the
It's my
learning
playground.
Yeah.
Home for me.
Discovery.
Yeah.
Because you don't have to be married to anything that you experience, but you can enjoy the experience.
So I just noticed it's 7 o'clock here. Do we want to we want to continue, or because I'm game to stick around for another half hour probably. If you guys want to.
I don't know, how's Pascal doing? Is he on mute?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm good either way. I'm on my way to get outside before I don't get outside. So I'll end up
Yeah,
staying
I just
in
want
the
to thank you for obeying that urge to show up again yesterday.
house.
Yeah, it was that was very fruitful for me anyway. And today has been too. So
Well,
yeah.
Thank you for the reception.
Somebody's loving Cindy.
Cindy loves you back, baby. Cindy
All
loves
right,
you
you
back.
betcha.
But you knew that, right? You know
Yeah,
that.
I knew. Oh yeah, totally. Totally.
Do you want me to leave you guys alone?
No, no, we can have a love fest in public. It's okay.
You're the cinnamon.
I don't want to be the third wheel though.
No, you're not a third. You're not a third at all.
The truth is, Pascal, you're a big part of it. So whether you like it or not, you're in a three-way, whether you like it or not.
Yeah, quite often, I guess, you know.
Pascal, I got the recording of that property too. I'll send that to you.
Oh, okay, yeah. I thought it was yesterday. That's why, I was like, oh, I never received it. But
No, it was Saturday morning for me.
oh, it's
Yeah.
Saturday morning. Okay,
Yes.
I should be able to attend it. I'll be with Kai, but yeah.
Yeah, it's okay. I got the recording from the last one. I'll just send it to you.
Okay, sounds good.
Yeah,
Sounds good.
you can watch it on your own time.
Perfect.
So am I missing something?
Probably. So I'm into real estate investing, so I got a whole community of events that happen, and some
okay.
of them are recorded. So I was gonna, sharing that with him, just to get ideas of what's going on and how people are investing in properties and what have you.
Yeah. There's going to be, the next couple of years, there's going to be a lot of shakeups around real estate and around financing.
Yeah.
Like big time stuff. A lot of opportunity, and there's going to be a lot of people that lose their shirts at the same time. It's going to be bizarre.
Yeah. Well, I'm striving to get into it now. So like making some acquisitions so I can take care of myself going forward and to fulfill a vision that I have also.
Yeah.
Of helping others.
Yeah.
I just, I'm, how you play jump rope?
Yep.
And if you ever play double dutch, like
double dutch, you betcha. I'm good at double dutch.
Okay.
With two ropes, even.
Jumping in that thing, and I'm being like aware of a rhythm of it and what's for me and what's not for me. I just keep running into the things that are not for me, but yet it's drawing me in. So I'm looking for that opportunity where I can actually jump in.
Yeah. Remember about what I was going to suggest to you is make sure that you apply all your intuitive all your intuitive knowing to what you're doing. And what's really obvious around that right now, not just for you and me, but all over the world, is it has a lot to do with timing.
Yes.
Timing is key. Like even more important than than doing your due diligence and all that around the investment itself, about whether it's got the potential you want and all those kind of things. The timing of it, the timing of it is really the key thing right now.
Right.
Because that can mistiming can get you into big trouble, and good timing can make you instantly wealthy. So it's like,
yeah, I want that thing right there. I need to not worry. I need not be concerned about finances. I don't require a lot, but I do require some to facilitate my life.
An interesting thing about this, time is the fourth dimension, right? And it's kind of time is the portal into the fifth dimension and higher dimensions. So mastering timing is a key thing.
Yeah, and
for anybody who's working multi-dimensionally, timing is huge.
Yeah, so like I keep getting like mixed signals and I can't, so it feels like that timing is off.
Yeah, this is an opportunity to learn and get and fine tune your inner authority, because your inner authority will tell you, it'll give you timing signals.
Wow. And that's what I'm getting, is to know what I know for myself to know, and not be relying on the expertise of other sayers. Because if I don't see it, if I don't feel it, it's like, no, that's not it.
Yeah, you can have all the 3D advisors in the world.
Yeah. That's what I'm experiencing right now.
You can have all the 3D advisors in the world, but they can't access your inner knowing. Only you can access your inner knowing and your inner knowing around, especially around timing. So
right.
Intuitive due diligence is way different from what you've been taught.
Yeah, and so sometimes I feel like if you want to look at accomplishments from that standpoint of my investment, it's like nothing's happening. And I keep looking and being open for opportunities to see how I would engage with it. And then the deal is not a deal. It's just not.
Yep.
Like my energy, just like my energy doesn't just go flat. It goes like undercurrent. It's like, nope.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And part of it's learning to obey that too.
Yeah, well, I'm in obedience because
to obey that instinct. Yeah. Do you use muscle testing at all?
I can't say I use it, but it comes up for me. Like I feel, like going, my energy of leaning forward is very strong when it's a yes.
Yep.
The other one is just like, instead of going back, it goes like, how you get like a stubborn kid just sitting in the seat with dead weight. That's how mine goes. Nope.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, cool.
Nope.
So yeah,
And
so
what
I'm suggesting to you is apply kinesiology to everything until you get to a point where you can just kind of trust your knowing.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, and that's easy. You can have a list of listings that you're looking at, and you can just muscle test on every single one of them. You know, even just do a yes no, and that could be you know, a yes to a little more like look into this or explore it further, and no to not bother. Just no means just take it off the table right now.
Yes.
Don't waste any time on it. You know, I mean, you can even start that way, or you can do stuff on an individual basis. And so, like when somebody picks up the phone and calls you and says, "There's this and this and this," you know, are you interested or not? You can do that, but that's all running things by inner authority. Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks for reminding me to do that.
Yep.
You can forget to incorporate these things in, I'll call, everyday transactions.
Yeah.
Because I'm so used to transacting in the 3D that I don't confer
Yeah.
to the other dimensions.
Well, exactly.
And I need to confer to the other dimensions first.
Yeah.
And let that be a more natural thing. Yeah.
Yeah. And even just this awareness of talking about it right now is going to change the effectiveness of everything for you. Just bringing it into awareness. Because, you know, our habit patterns, our default pattern, especially if we learn something conventionally, they're going to keep coming back. And, you know, and then you'll just catch yourself. I go like, oh man, I'm doing this due diligence routine, right? And I'm expending a lot of time and energy on something that my intuition already knows I'm not interested in. Right? So
Yeah.
What's going on here?
Like dragging your little sister or brother along, and they don't want to go with you either.
Oh, don't remind me. I was the second oldest of 6 kids, so I ran taxi many times. Yeah, it's funny. Yeah.
So I have this event that I could attend tonight, and my energy is really neutral about showing up. And if I don't have anything more compelling by 3 o'clock, then I'm not gonna go.
Why don't you take your energy out of it and decide now?
Good question. Good question.
Because you already know.
Well, there's a duality to it. Because it's going to take energy to go. And once the time has passed, was it a dose that I needed? You know, because sometimes you just don't want to do the therapy. So, I'm like at a I don't know right now. So I think I need to go out and walk in the rain.
Yeah, there you go.
And that's why I'm saying
I'm hearing you say that your head is engaged in it, and that's why I asked you the question. So that energy's going through your head into it. And the thing, and you don't have to spend any time there if you don't want.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I can do what I want to do. I haven't
Totally.
committed to being there. I haven't said I'll be there. I haven't said I won't be there. Yeah, I didn't commit to anything at all. But I know I'll be able to serve and even gain some benefit from being there. Maybe or not.
Well, yeah. But the thing is, I know you well enough to know that even if you end up at something or in a place where there seems to be nothing really there for you, you will find something of benefit there, because that's just the way you are.
Yeah.
You know, you'll just make the best out of an experience that isn't optimum
Yeah.
for you, because that's who you are, right? But you don't have to. What I'm telling you is you have the power to not even engage in that kind of a situation if it's not correct for you.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. I felt like by 3:00 I'll have a definitive yes or no. I'll allow that for myself, but I'm not going to engage in a question all day long.
Perfect.
Yeah.
So my suggestion would be follow your excitement. So if at the moment, like, your highest excitement is to go for a walk, then go for a walk. You don't know, maybe you're gonna meet someone on the way, and then they'll tell you the answer. And follow synchronicity, right? So that's what I try to do. If I don't know the answer, then I follow my highest excitement. And sometimes it has nothing to do with what I'm doing at all. But then, like, I'll go play tennis, for example, and then my friend will be saying something, and I'll be like, oh my God, this is what I was looking for, right? You don't know. Or like and just on the way, and then you listen to the radio, and then they're talking exactly what you want, you know what I mean? So, and the other thing, like, do you know exactly what you want?
Right.
And do you visualize it? Do you see yourself doing it?
Yeah, I'm gonna. You said everything to me when you said follow your excitement. Go on, please.
Yeah. So, and really, like, so it seems like the way you're approaching things, like to find the best property, it's through your thoughts and then like your action, right? So like you're looking in the paper and then like, oh, this is not good, this is good, this is not good. What if you try from a higher consciousness, right? So start with, how does it feel to get this property? Imagine yourself maybe like you're doing a renovation in there. I don't know, right? Like, or you're bringing the first tenants in there, or whatever, or you're getting the check or anything, right? So to really bring all these senses before even looking for a property.
Yes.
So now you're creating from a higher consciousness, and it will get created in our lower realm, to say, right? But we start doing, and obviously you have to take action. So maybe at the end of the day, when you've done your visualization, like you might look at the paper and then, but that shouldn't, in my opinion, it should be the main thing you're doing. I don't know if that makes sense, but yeah.
Nope. I got it.
Because like I was following a guy, like I talked on this platform about a guy that like you would say cure is paraplegia, right? He was giving like 48 hours to live, and during the surgery, because like it was like his the procedure is called laminectomy, or I think it's called. So they were scraping off his spine the infection, and during that surgery, like he says he didn't have like a near-death experience. He just had a knowing experience, and when he woke up, he told the nurses that he's going to heal himself in 100 days. Right? But and then he told exactly how metaphysical or metaphysic works. Yeah, metaphysical works to the nurse. He says, yeah, that's what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to visualize myself running, you know, and really feel that I'm running, like really like the wind of my, like the smell of the nature. And like the other thing he was doing, he says like my legs were not moving at all. Then I was like using my arm to move, or if I had someone like that was helping me or something, I was just like, move my leg for me, you know, just to have the feeling that like they're moving, right? So all these little things, right? So, but he says like, I didn't heal myself linearly, and it was from a higher consciousness. So it's the same thing. He says like, if you want to bring something from your life, you don't do it with. So like he gave like basically a list, like a ladder of like kind of consciousness. So he started with like desire, intention, thoughts, emotion, action, habit, and behavior. And we hear a lot, like our parents will say, can you just behave, you know? And how is it hard to behave, you know, like to have your child to behave? Like it's the lower frequency. Right? But we hear that a lot, right? Like, come on, behave, right? And be like, how can I behave? Like, you know, my thoughts, like everything. I have no desires. You know, if you start with like the desire of the child and the intention, then like you might be able to make them behave. You know, it'll come naturally. So, but, yeah. But follows your highest excitement. I think it starts there.
Yeah, I got caught in what you said about the child and was saying just behave. It's like, how can you behave when you have not even felt out or identified a desire? You know, the behavior has no purpose.
No.
Yeah.
No. But I'm still a student. Student for life.
Me too.
You know, I'm
student forever.
I understand these things, but I don't practice them like all the time, and I get caught up with life, right? Like just, you know. anybody says behave to me, I'm like, oh, okay, I'll try, right? Like, you know, I get confused, but yeah, I'll try, right? So, but I have no desire, right? So,
Yeah, and I think that some of the deals that have been coming across with the small group that I'm working with, they just have not excited me.
yeah,
I'm looking at them like, yeah, it has potential, but no excitement.
yeah, yeah. And then like when we get caught up, it's same thing with dating people, right? We wear these masks, so like Craig was saying, like, you know, like you kind of lower your energy, which for me, you put masks, so I don't want them to shine so bright on them, right? So I dim my light down, so like we can see each other, right? But then like eventually, like it just doesn't work for us because like we're like, you know, I want to shine brighter, but I
Right.
can't with you, right? So now we're starting to remove these masks, and now the person is like, oh, you changed so much, I don't know, I can't recognize you now. Well, I came to your level, you know, so I can bring you up, but like the matter of fact, like you can't bring people up. It's just, you know, if they're not ready.
Yeah, and you shouldn't so some people's light is just meant to shine somewhere different.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
can't, because I can't really say that I'm bringing them up. They just don't click with me. But that
Right.
doesn't mean that they're more or less.
No, exactly. Yeah, they're
Yeah.
just shining a different color,
Right.
right? So, but we get caught up with like the physical being, you know, that's what I was
Yeah.
at.
Right.
Growing up, be like, I see a beautiful woman and like, oh my God, she's dream of my life, right? But then like, I felt there's nothing up there. And you're
Yeah.
like, okay, shit, right? But then you stay with the person, you think like, oh, you know, like I have hope. I have hope, right?
You got to have light, spark, and fire.
Yeah, you gotta have both, right? But yeah, no, it's it's interesting. But like, and then the other thing, like I was hearing you guys like, you know, we all know that energy cannot be created or destroyed. That's what I heard that saying, right? So
Yeah.
but we keep hearing, I gotta create things, I gotta make money, I gotta whatever. I just don't think it's totally true.
You
You
don't
know,
think what?
Oh,
Totally.
no, it's
that
not.
that we don't make energy. You know, like because Craig, you were
We
saying
channel
like
it.
I don't feel like I can make energy. You know,
So we
I'm a
channel
person.
it, right?
He can't.
So
But he said like I cannot make energy, and I don't think anybody can make energy. We just exchange energy.
right. We can channel it. We can open up. We can receive it. We can offer it. Is that what you're
But we
saying?
don't. Yeah, we don't create energy, so we don't create things because everything is energy. We would say, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't think we create things. I think it's wrong kind of language. I think we're using. I don't know. Like I don't have
Yeah,
the
it
full
is wrong.
picture, but it's just like we don't create things. We transform things. You know, we use one energy to transform with another one, and you know, same thing with an exchange of energy with money, right? Like I give you a service, you give me money, and vice versa, right?
Right.
I don't know. I'm just kind of like playing with that, and I'm just like, you know, and
Actually,
then you go.
the biggest thing about that is human beings have the ability and the capacity to change the form of energy.
Yeah, and I would agree with that.
Because it just changes form. So there's a lot of confusion around the whole idea of manifesting. Okay, the thing
So
is,
I use food, right? I use food, which is information, which is energy.
Yeah.
And then I can walk longer with it, or whatever. I can think longer.
Yeah.
Right? But I didn't create it.
No,
So,
your body synthesizes it. Like your digestion system converts it from one form of energy into another.
Right. So it's like the only one that I have a little bit of a hard time. It's like I'm going to the gym, I'm lifting weights, and you know, like after that, it gives me energy. I'm stronger. So where do I get that energy? The weight? No, I don't think so. Right?
Nope.
I don't know where that energy comes from. Like I understand with food, but with really like lifting weights, if we say we don't create energy, then where that energy comes from?
As your thoughts.
Your thoughts of like, oh, I'm lifting weights, so I'm getting bigger and I have more energy. Could be.
You're again channeling with your receptiveness, your spirit receptions. You bring energy in. Like I could be totally depressed right now, or I can be in total glee right now. I get to choose that energy.
Yeah. Yeah.
As a man thinketh.
Yeah, and it's funny because like some people, like if we go with lifting weights, you know, there was the study done like that people never lift like one single dumbbell in their life, but they were imagining that like they were doing it, and they were almost getting as big. Or so is it by doing the exercise that you're like, oh yeah, I'm lifting like 40 pounds like dumbbell for my bicep curl, then I'm gonna get bigger, right? Is it just, you know, a thought? I just think it's really interesting that, you know, can we just like be Buddha and just like meditate and get bigger, stronger, everything? Oh yeah, we really have to do like the work per se, you know?
It's a good question.
Yeah, it is a good question.
So it's worth the experiment. Like, can I get rich just sitting here doing nothing? Everybody says it takes action.
Sitting there doing nothing is an action.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it does
I
take a
think
lot to do nothing.
I think in a physical form, you still That's what I heard. Like I heard that from Bashar, like Daryl Anka. Like Daryl Anka like channel like Bashar. But is he just channeling his higher self? That's another thing. I'm not sure. You know, because I hear him like just talking to talking, right? Like with like an interviewer. And he says, well, I've been doing it like 39 years or whatever. So yeah, he just sounds like that he's channeling, but he's not. So yeah, it's just
Oh, he is.
interesting. Yeah, well, like, you know, when he channel, he close his eyes, whatever, he put his hand together, blah, blah, blah. But then like the interview that he was doing, like he wasn't doing any of that. And he wasn't in that theta or delta state. I think, yeah, it's even more than that, gamma, like he call it, yeah, gamma state. And yeah, like he pretty much just sound like him, like yeah, like his insight were like absolutely amazing. So, and he says, yeah, it's because I've been channeling for so long, but is it just part of him? Or
Yeah,
is it a completely different being?
I think it's who he is. Like, I can see him like practicing it so much that it just becomes who he is.
Yeah, yeah. I can't differentiate mine anymore.
I can tell when mine shifts like in different gears, like when my nephew was here.
Yeah.
And even the way he's looking at me, it changes.
Yeah, yeah.
And I'm speaking with him and I'll kind of like look at him and say, you know, this is for you. This isn't me, this is for you. And he's like, I'm getting it, Aunt Cindy, I'm getting it. And then I'll just keep going. And then all of a sudden it'll like, I'll say something like, okay, that's all for right now.
Mm.
Yeah.
And then like at one period was like quiet, like after I guess you call it a rant. He was quiet and I just went to leave out the room and I said, just be comfortable with all of that and, you know, talk whenever you feel like it or not. And he sat with it like maybe almost a half hour.
Yeah, so anyway, like Bashar was saying that, you know, in this dimension or lower frequency, we have to take action. That's what he said, you know. So, but in a higher consciousness, because like same thing, like, you know, when you're really in a high consciousness, you don't have to eat, right? But because we associate ourselves to this physical form, then we have to eat, you know. But like when you're like a really high consciousness, like people have been fasting for like years, you know. So we come to a point that, yeah, we feed with other things, like, you know, the sun, and breathing. Because I know, like, if I go on vacation, I go down south, well, I'm not hungry. And like, I do things, like, I'm not just sitting at the beach and doing nothing. I do a lot of things, you know, I'll do hikes and whatnot, but I'm not hungry. Not as much anyway, like I'll eat a little bit, but. So the sun really feeds me.
Yeah.
Right, but when you associate yourself to that physical form, then you're like, oh wow, you know, it's 12 o'clock, I have to eat, you know. Oh, I have to have my snack at 2:30, you know, otherwise I won't be able to finish my day, you know. I don't know, I think it's an interesting subject to explore.
Yeah, I want to explore it by experiencing it, putting myself in a position to experience it more intentionally, have space for that. So
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And that's what like this new schooling will be. It'll be all experience, right? It won't be like so much of like rumbling, like, oh, 2 + 2 + 2 = 7. You know, like it won't be that.
yeah.
Right? So it's be all experience. Okay, I want you to feel that. How does it feel? What do you see? You know? I think we're ahead of curve. Like when we're talking about these way of manifesting, I think we're ahead of curve for sure.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
I mean, these concept, like, but
Yeah,
like
for sure.
you know, everybody's like maybe laughing at you right now, but then like, you know, maybe in 50 years, 100 years, I don't know, right? But they'll be like, oh, I remember, like, Pascal was talking about this, you know? Like about 25 years. You know, it all comes back to this, right? It's like,
Yeah.
it's crazy.
Well, that's what I was saying at the beginning of the session today. Is that I'm just coming to realize that a lot of things that are coming to light and are manifesting now today were put into motion decades ago.
Yeah, yeah.
Were sparked way back then. You know, and the other side of that for me is understanding that that's my role. That's my role is to be the spark that gets a fire going.
Yeah.
And once the fire is going, it's not my thing to keep the fire burning.
Mm.
It was only my thing to spark it in the first place.
Yeah.
And your role is going to be different from mine.
Oh no, exactly the same. Exactly the same. Yeah, yeah. You're my teacher. You're my teacher. Now we're all different,
what
right?
I'm saying
No,
is that your role will be different. Like you might be someone that actually brings form to a lot of parts of that.
Oh yeah, or maybe I'll just bring the wood to you, right?
Right. Well, right, exactly.
You know, who knows? Who knows? yeah, it's
Mm.
It's all about highest and best use. Cinderella, have you ever heard that before?
Yeah.
Yeah,
what did you say?
it's about highest and best use.
Highest best use.
But in this case, we're talking about energy.
Right.
So what highest and best use is a kind of a principle behind real estate. Okay, so when you look at a piece of raw land and where it's situated and all the, you know, and the environment it's in and what's on it and all that kind of stuff, you ask an investor in real estate would ask the question, what's the highest and best use of this particular chunk of land? And that's kind of a moving target because the environment around that piece of land is going to change over time. But it's kind of like future forecasting the value of that particular chunk of land.
Mm.
And so that's how you decide whether it's a good investment or not. So what I'm suggesting now is that we do the same with energy. We do the same with those energetic creative impulses that we get. You know,
Just the way I'm
it's
considering my evening, what is the highest and best use of my time this evening? Is it to be at this function or is it going to be something else?
could
Right.
be that, yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, it could come down to time. Yeah. Because time is a form of energy too, right?
And it's all relative. Like, what was the
Yep.
highest and best use of my time this morning?
Yep.
For me, it was being here on this call.
Yep. Yeah, every single day that I've done this, I've encountered richness.
Guys, this call's coming a third time. Let me take this call. I may be able to get back in. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'm
no
a
worries.
hold.
Take care, Cinderella.
So Pascal, I'm kind of blown away with what you just shared. It kind of gave me the chills.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
But which part?
Oh, just just how you were musing around the energy of it.
Yeah, but that's what allowed me, because when you guys are talking, it just came to me, right? Like regarding like working out. I'm like, and then like even you said like, it seems like I'm not a person that creates energy. And I was like, huh, okay. Let's explore that a little bit, right? So And I'm like, I don't think we create energy anyway, you know, or we create anything.
No, 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 we
We
don't.
just transform it because, like, say I have
Yeah.
a piece of wood and then I have nails and I have whatever spoke, then I'll make a wheel. You know what I mean? Something like that.
Yeah.
Right. So I use energy and I transform it to do something else. Right. So
Yeah.
But I didn't.
You know why wood burns?
Transform the energy. So which one?
You know why wood burns, Pascal?
To produce energy. But it doesn't produce
Yeah, but
energy, obviously.
But you know why it actually burns? Why you can light fire to it and it will burn?
Let me think about that one. Why does it burn? Therefore, what's to regenerate?
Because there's alcohol in it.
Because there's alcohol.
There's alcohol in wood.
Uh-huh.
It's the alcohol that burns.
Right.
Okay, and alcohol is a fuel. Fuel is potential energy. Okay, so when you
Right.
light a fire to something, it's energy that's changing form.
Mm-hmm.
It's converted into heat.
Yeah, like a wood burning stove.
Yeah, yeah.
And then we
And
cook
once the alcohol is consumed, once the alcohol is all consumed out of the wood, there's nothing left but ashes.
Right.
So it kind of,
And the ash
kind
is
of-
not destroyed too,
no,
right?
no,
It becomes nutrient
it's another form of energy.
that's been transformed, and it's kind of recycled, right?
Yes, yeah, and energy is always recycling. So what we're learning how to do is apply consciousness to energy changing form.
Right.
So you don't control it, but you can orchestrate that form change of energy.
Yeah, because what comes to mind, it's like, call it cancer, right? Like it's got a certain frequency.
Yep.
Right. So the way I guess it works, say with your mind or, the higher consciousness, so to transform that frequency back to its normal state, just like a regular cell instead than like a cells that like confuse.
Yeah.
Then like I guess like you bring, so it's almost like knowing what is your frequency of your body, right? So if you know the frequency of your body, then if something is like in dissonance, then you play that frequency back, and then like your body become back to his natural state.
Now here's an interesting thing, Pascal, is that your body can do that by itself.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
But
like if we get out of the way.
somehow over
Yeah.
millions of years, we've lost our access to that ability,
Yeah.
right? And what we're learning now through quantum science in general is that we have mastery over all of that stuff if we want it.
Mm-hmm.
But the mastery comes through consciousness. It comes through awareness and consciously doing that.
Yeah, it
So
comes
I
from
was-
source.
It comes, yeah.
Source
it comes-
consciousness, yes.
source consciousness. Yeah. I'm talking about big C consciousness. So
Right.
the thing is when you're attuned to that, all of a sudden your whole higher dimensional self becomes accessible to you again.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now the thing that I find interesting about that is your baby has access to all of that right now.
Oh yeah.
To all of that. But it's already being obscured to him by his environment, and that includes like the collective vibration of humanity and the vibration of the earth and all of that kind of stuff. It's all kind of encapsulated in that, and it's inter-affecting everything and everyone. And no doubt, as you're raising your consciousness and your own frequency, as you're doing the work on that, it's going to make life a hell of a lot easier for him. It already has.
And I don't even have to do anything.
Well, you two are co-creating a brand new environment. Whether you're aware that you're doing that or not, that's actually what you're doing.
Yeah.
You know, and that includes your wife too, because that's a family unit. And so there's all this energy interchange that's going on that you're all part of, and it's like, yeah. So what I'm saying is, as you explore these higher dimensional realities that are true, the huge beneficiary of that is your son, but it's also you, and it's your family unit as well. You know, I'm really, really excited for you as your kid grows up, because you have awareness of all this stuff already as a parent. Like I wish I had access to that when I was a parent. I mean, it was kind of going on anyway, like in the background, but still to this day, it hasn't, the truth of that hasn't been acknowledged.
Yeah, because I'm still called a wacko.
Well, yeah, well, exactly. I mean, yeah, my wife thinks I am too, and so and so do my kids.
They think I should live on Mars, and then I'm like, yeah, maybe. Let me astral travel to it, and then they're like, what? Astral what?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, I'm just gonna remote view then. Remote what? Yeah, it's interesting, like talking to friends from childhood, eh?
Yeah.
It's yeah. But there's a reason why I'm, you know, we say like follows your highest excitement. And my highest excitement is to know the truth. It's very simple. It's very, very simple. You know, I'm not interested in bullshit. And then like, you know, it's just, yeah, like, tell me the truth and then I'll listen to you, or like I'll listen to whoever, right?
Uh-huh. Yeah.
But I just want to know the truth.
Yeah.
I don't know where this desire come from, but it's I think it's deep inside of me. It's just like, you know, it just didn't make sense to me. Nothing makes sense.
Maybe it's not supposed to.
No, I don't think so. I don't know. You know, when the pandemic hits, like I was just like, I don't know. I was an oddball, and then I was just like, I don't know. I don't get it. I don't get it. It's just, yeah. Sorry, I won't follow you. Sorry. Right? Sorry. You know? And I've been judged. I've been, you know, criticized. Yeah, let's just go to Mars. You should go to Mars. And okay, sure. I don't know. Right?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
And
well, you can share your musings with us anytime you want.
Yeah. Because like,
yeah,
you know, it's funny
brilliant.
because like I always wanted to belong. I shared that with Jesse and you guys, I think.
Yeah,
I always wanted to
there.
belong.
Yeah.
I always wanted to belong. Belong. But the matter of fact, like I don't think anybody are from here. So we don't need to fit in. You know, it's just like, but you know, as much as I try to like, you know, I don't know, I thought I was really dumb. I thought it was really, really dumb. You know, like I just couldn't get these jokes, or, you know, it just didn't work for me until like I find my people, I guess, you know, that people can understand me.
Yeah.
You know, yeah.
The thing is, you know, I know I was sent here to bring the reality of the other side to Earth.
Mm.
You know, I know that's the primary reason for me being here right now.
So like how you say you were sent here for your purpose.
Yep.
Mine is nurture.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
That's my purpose. And it's to nurture what is to become for what it is, not to make it be what I call it to be. It's just to, you know, help to nurture, to inspire for a tree to be a tree, a manifester to be a manifester, a carpenter to be a carpenter. Is like, I don't make anything be something, but to nurture is my purpose.
And how did you find out?
I'm still finding that out. That it just really hit me and culminated with this conversation, and I can see it in my truest interactions. I'm somewhat like a cheerleader. Like, what are you doing? Okay, let's help coordinate those things that are needed to incubate that to grow. As a teacher, I had on the wall, be the best you can be. It wasn't to make anybody conform to anything or anybody else. It was just to bring out the best of you.
Yes.
So that's where I believe my name, also one of my names came from, Masheba, which is mother of the tribe. And it's to, provide warmth when warmth is needed, provides, move you to the sunlight when you don't know that you need the sunlight, but you're thriving more in that sunlight. Now bring you out because it's time for some vanilla.
Oh yeah. Let's spray some vanilla again.
You're nutmeg, Pascal. I've decided you're nutmeg.
I'm nutmeg. Not too much nutmeg though.
No, you're that hint of spice that makes it nice.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, like
there's
that.
There's a lot of parenting energy in my energy blueprint too. A lot of parenting, and that includes things like teaching and
I see you as like protector of the realm kind of thing.
Oh wow, cool.
Hey, what do you see me? What do you see me?
I'm feeling it'll come.
It'll come.
I got the nutmeg. The nutmeg.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm feeling that nutmeg too. That's good. That's a good word for it, Cinderella.
Well, I got told, because I had some session, called, I don't know, like healer, all that stuff. And then I always ask what's my true purpose? What is my true purpose? And I was always disappointed. Like they always say your true purpose is what you're doing right now. And I'm like, what? So I'm like, that's not helping me, and then until I got she was channeling, I guess. Well, I don't know if you say channeling, but she sees my past lives, right?
Yep.
And she said most of my lives I've been a spiritual warrior. That's what she told me. And I was just like, I don't feel like a warrior, but she said a spiritual warrior.
Yeah.
So it's like you don't know how much you affect people, but you're affecting a lot of people, and then you really, I don't know. It's just, and that kind of hit me. Like when she said that, I was just like, that's very, very interesting. So I'm interested in what you're gonna come up with.
Yeah, I don't have it all, and I'm not gonna fake it. No. I'm not gonna make it be something. But when you said that, I see you as something, cultivator. I see you moving. Oh, this is something, because I don't particularly like snakes, but I love worms for what they do to the earth. And even snakes move, and they create situations of contrast in order for the contrast to happen. So I'm going to back away from that right now. So I don't want to go where I have it, that it's not just coming to me. But you're like a gentle cultivator that your nutmeg. You add a spice that makes people aware of themselves.
Yeah, it's interesting you saying that because for people that I met, like a couple, and they're pretty awakened, you would say, and they say you're really interesting in the party. It's like you're not like just standing there and like rumbling about things to one particular group. You say like you spark things. You know, it's like
Yeah.
almost like I spark the fire, and I let them like with their conversation, right? I let them with the conversation, but I spark the fire, and then I let them do their thing. It's like sometimes like I'm almost like uncomfortable when people are not talking.
You're a facilitator.
Yes, sir.
Hey, so you're just waiting for them to get through, or what? You're
Yeah.
picking up the green bins.
Yeah, all
bins,
the
right?
green bins. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm waiting for him to go too, so I can go as well.
Okay. Oh, you're in the avalanche? Okay. Yeah, I can push them.
You back?
Yeah, I'm back, sir. Sorry.
You're a spiritual facilitator
Yeah. Yeah.
to
Yeah.
help bring out other people's essence so that they know who they are and exercise to their higher level. Hold that, because it's strong, but it's fleeting for me. You're a spiritual facilitator. You're not. I get what they were trying to say about a warrior, but
Yeah.
it's not to have war.
Yeah, it's not fighting.
No.
Right.
But like I could see you at a party, and you do it here too. You'll spark a statement, and that energy goes out and it drops as it drops.
Yeah.
And you create an energy that invites others to engage, and you can withdraw and just let them be them.
Right. Oh my God. I got chill all over my body.
Yeah. Yeah. I did too. That one.
Oh, Sandrell. Yeah, I think you figured me out. I thought I had secret. I don't anymore.
No.
The secret was from you, my friend, and now you know.
Yeah, it's true. Wow.
You're exposed, buddy.
Yeah, no kidding. No kidding.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, because, that's what I did this morning even, right? I just started talking about energy a little bit, and I'm like, yeah, you guys can take it from there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then you stepped in later on and dropped a few bombs.
Drop a few bombs.
Yeah.
Yeah, you and Jesse.
Well, yeah,
are
because
cousins.
you shared some insights that were coming to you that were developing throughout your listening there, right?
Right. Yeah.
My dad was like that. He'd kind of hover around the outskirts of everything and just observe everything, and then he'd come out with one statement or one sentence or something that just either it blew everybody away or it would be so funny that you'd be rolling under the table.
Yeah, that's kind of me. Yeah, like in a party,
Yeah.
that's kind of me. Because I won't say much, unless like I know that they're ready to listen to it. Otherwise, I'll keep my mouth shut, right?
Yeah.
But then I'll say something that I don't know, like being funny comes up a lot.
Yep.
You know, but like it's kind of funny in a sense because like, you know, I always thought like, oh, you know, everybody's gonna want to be my friend, and they're not. That's the thing. You know, they love me when I'm at the party, but I'm not the guy that they follow. Not at all.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, in that sense, you're a loner.
Not sorry.
In that sense, you are a loner. That's
Yeah.
why you have to be confident in what you bring to the table and your purpose for what you bring. It's not to make friends. It's
Right.
like you pollinate like a bee.
Mm.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Like you cross pollinate things so that they can experience their own thoughts and actions and feelings without being without it feeling confrontational.
Yep. Yep.
Right.
It's a party. Mingle, cross-pollinate. Don't be afraid of it. And then you withdraw and just let it just, you know, let the chemical reactions ruminate within about themselves.
Yep. Let the organism do its thing.
Right.
Mm.
And even like with your son, like you're not trying to make you're I'm gonna say this. You're like God. He just created all of this stuff. And he said, children, be what you are. Come to know thyself. God honors us and we're forgiven so much because he knows we're fumbling around to find out that we are so great.
Yeah, but I won't make people do something they don't want to do.
No.
Right.
Nope.
There's no point.
Free will. You honor free will.
Right.
With guidance and insight and your own authenticity too also gives other people permission to figure things out and make mistakes and run into their own geniusness.
Yeah. Because I definitely learned that I'm not very good at convincing people. Definitely. Yeah, during COVID, like my I convinced my wife, you know. So I was the one that awakened her because I thought it was really, really important. But it came to a fight. And it came to the point that like I was going to lose my job. But I was like, that's okay. And then, you know, it just didn't sit well with her. But I ended up keeping my job. You know, and it's kind of like showing her that it's not done until it's done, kind of.
Yeah.
Right? So yeah. Wow.
Wow.
Yeah.
I love you guys' insight. This is amazing. Now I have a deeper understanding of who I am and what I'm here for. Yeah. Wow.
Not today, Syndrell, but one of these days I'm gonna have you complete your reading on me.
You have given me some, you know, that one time I was just like, look, I just got to tell you this. And that was me experiencing channeling.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
You know, but I'm glad you asked, because I don't like to be intrusive to people, and I don't like to invade their privacy. When I don't take any judgment on anything that comes or that is. But I'm a very strong component of the truth will set you free.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I think it's like the way we're able to tap into each other. It's a lot easier in this group because we vibrate to a very similar frequency. So you're kind of tapping into my higher self, I would imagine.
Oh, totally.
Right? So if you got someone very depressed, then you might have a hard time to know their purpose because you don't vibrate at their level.
But from super consciousness, you can pierce the veil of depression. I had a counseling session yesterday, and so we were talking about depression, and you can be functionally depressed. And so it takes real people functioning at a higher level and super consciousness to stick that needle, to pierce that veil of depression, and go in like what they call those little microscopic surgery things, and detach the depression from the glory of the person, so it can just be released more gently. It kind of goes in like, how super consciousness it will work on that degree of stuff that's safe to work on. So you can kind of go in and pierce the veil of, I don't know how I got all the way on this subject, pierce the veil of that spirit. That's, to me, depression is like a spirit. Fear is like a spirit, and it's like a blanket. And if you keep laying under it for the comfort that the blanket gives you, because you can feel something in this existence, but then when someone can go in and you trust to go in and go under the blanket, and detach, then it's easier to let go of that depression or that fear.
Right.
And I feel like that's what we do with each other in this area. So like, again, yesterday, how you guys helped me open a door that I never even identified before.
I think I want to rephrase that, my sentence. I think like, it's like, the ladder of consciousness. I think like, if you're at a level, like a pretty high level at love, then it's easier to see the other frequency. So you're able to figure them out. But like, if someone is like much higher than you, then it's a lot harder for you to figure them out. I think like that's more like that. I was rethinking about what I said, and I was like, no, that doesn't make sense, because it's almost like, like your eyes, like you can see to a certain degree, right? Like as far as you can or whatever. But like, if you have you know, some people like see beyond their eyes, right? So when you're at that level, then you see everything before that.
No, I'm with you. It's the difference between a parrot in a cage and an eagle soaring high. An eagle can definitely see so much more.
Yeah. Yeah, because someone that is, how do you say, clear, not sentience, not cognizance, like the person that sees more than, like they see auras. Clear what?
Clairvoyant?
Clairvoyance, that's it. Yeah, so a person that, you know, is clairvoyant, then they see a lot better than others, right? So it's the same thing with your frequency. So if you have like a client that like it's always in shame and guilt or whatever, you'll be able to figure them out a lot easier than someone that is in shame as well, right? Because they're at the same level, they don't see each other. There's no contrast, right? You guys run with it.
Yeah, that ties into what I was talking about yesterday about multi-dimensional and like working from the higher dimensions, because that's kind of like that when you get into higher frequencies. All of a sudden you have this awareness that you're operating in higher dimensions than just time and space. You know, you're actually and you have senses that operate at those higher levels too, right? So there's a fifth dimension form of sight. You know, you can call it clairvoyance if you want, but I mean it's kind of a sight, and there's a hearing that operates in those higher levels of frequency that is totally above space and time.
Yeah, like I hear that a lot, that like we'll be moving to the fifth dimension and this and that, and then that's a concept that it's hard for me to grasp. Like,
well, we're already in it.
Just, yeah, but you know, to me, like a different dimension would be a different place, or like having, you know, so like if you see like a cube, for example, so you got the length, the width, and the height, so you have another dimension, right?
It's just an extension of what you're already familiar with.
Yeah, that's why like I resonate more with frequency than dimension.
Yeah, but frequency is a different thing altogether. Okay, you raise your frequency, and it gives you access to the higher dimensions that you're already in, but allows you to actually operate in them. That's what frequency does. You know, it allows you to come from a place of love and look at shame and be able to understand it.
Yeah, because I also heard
it actually exists at the lower frequencies, right? It actually exists in the three-dimensional realm.
Because I also heard like we're in the first full dimension, the one, you know, and yeah, so that's why I'm like I love to explore these things, because like You know, everybody are saying different things, right? And I'm not sure who's really telling the truth.
Well, yeah, but they're not really saying different things.
Yeah, they're just using different words, maybe.
You're just
right?
you're just understanding them that way, as if they're different, and they're actually not.
Right.
Would you say they're all part of the whole understanding? Because you can, it's like when you go to college to get a degree, maybe a bad example, but you take this class and this terminology and this philosophy and this math and this, concept, and you get you don't want to get stuck in one mode of thinking of one class. So you don't want to just the vibrations and vibration levels and what was yours, Pascal? You rather deal with what?
Frequency instead of dimension.
Instead of dimension.
So
I believe there is dimension, but I feel like we're not moving to a different dimension. I feel like we're not frequency.
We're not moving at all.
Because like
it's just a reality that we aren't aware of. Generally.
So I believe that there are, just to like kind of understanding it for myself, is like, say that because I heard a man say that there are 7 heavens and 7 heavens. Like there's a multiplicity. So when you discover one heaven, to understand that heaven, that vibration, that existence, then you can look across and slightly upward and recognize that there's even more to discover. And because you've discovered what you've discovered, because you've tapped into what you've tapped into, it brings you to another horizon that while you may not want to jump to that next horizon yet, because you're learning so much where you are and feeling and exercising and applying, that you can teeter-totter into other levels and realms of vibration. So it's a continuous unfolding and evolution. So I believe the vibrations helps us, it's like the key to feel and know other dimensions.
Yeah. Yeah, they're part of the awareness. Because here's the thing. Your 3D brain can't understand any of this stuff. But where we keep getting stuck is trying to.
Say that again.
Your 3D brain can't understand any of this stuff. Because your 3D brain has limits on it, and those limits are the three dimensions it's in, and it tries to understand time too, but it can't.
And that's okay. So that's why we're able to come out of our 3D box and ascend other dimensions.
Right. So stop expecting your 3D brain to be able to operate in these higher dimensions, because it can't.
But we can
oh yeah, no, exactly. No, I get that.
But we can bring the awareness of the other dimensions into the 3D realm, but not we can microdose things into the 3D realm, because it's really the other stuff that facilitates the 3D realm as we come to know it's not contrast, but in collaboration with.
Right. Right. And so instead of our 3D brain being in control of everything,
Right.
okay, we approach it from the higher frequencies and the higher dimensions, and we don't put it in its place, but we realize that all the guidance and all of our knowing and all that exists on a higher plane. And our life's work, if you let me use that term for it, is to apply the higher planes of reality to the 3D reality. That's what embodiment is all about. Embodiment is bringing my spiritual, my energetic high vibe, higher dimensional self, and bringing it into the 3D body as completely as I possibly can.
Right.
But I'm operating from higher dimensions. I'm not operating from 3D. I'm operating from higher dimensions. So I'm not expecting my brain to control anything anymore.
Praise the Lord.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, you could use the word spirit in there. Like higher dimensionality is about spirit. It's about energy. To me, those two terms are interchangeable.
Okay, I got to say something right there. So I think that's why people experience depression, because they're trying to subjugate their spiritual awareness, the knocking on the door of that spiritual awakening into a 3D phenomena, and it does not exist that way.
No,
The 3D
exactly.
is a particle of the spirit. We cannot confine, because we experience spirit with every breath of existence, but we deny the power of the spirit that is within us, that is us, and we become depressed when we don't exercise knowing that spirit and function from the spirit realm instead of the carnal realm.
Right.
Whew.
That's the problem with the whole problem solving thing.
Thank you for letting me get
You're
that
trying
out.
to use 3D reality to solve 3D problems. And the thing is, the problems themselves aren't 3D problems.
They're
higher
just
dimensional
symptomatic.
problems.
They're symptomatic.
They're symptomatic. They're symptomatic of an imbalance and disharmony between what we're capable of human beings and what we actually experience.
And we also say like it's problems, but I like the word challenge.
Thank you. Yeah. Or circumstance.
But yeah, no, you're right. You're right. It's just like, well, like it was that saying, right? Like a challenge in this dimension cannot be resolved in the same dimension or something, right? Or like same.
Right.
So that's why
you can't solve a
when
problem
you
with the
don't
same
know
tools
the
that created it.
answer. When you don't know the answer, then you go to your bliss.
Right.
Right. So you go to your bliss, then you're in that flow state. So the answer is a lot easier to find.
Yep. So what we want to do with our children is we want to do everything we can. We want to nourish them in a way that they stay in their flow state.
Right.
So you may challenge me on this, but as parents, I believe they're like seedlings. You don't want to give them, you don't, not give, they already have it all, but you want to nurture them in that pot to make sure they have roots to grow. And as their roots grow, give them more, nurture them in a bigger hemisphere and in a bigger hemisphere, because you don't want, because if you don't nurture them in like in your home and just put them out on the street to figure it out, then they don't get a chance to get their footing on something.
Thing is, they already have their footing. They're carrying with them all the wisdom in the universe.
Yeah, but it's it's like you can give me a car, but if I don't know how to drive it or can't reach the gas and the brakes, you want to allow them to grow into, and that's the nurturing. You don't want to limit them, but you don't want.
They already know how to drive it. They already know how to drive it.
But they need.
They just don't know how to apply it to a limited 3D reality.
Right. So that's, as parents, we cultivate that space to be in your genius in this 3D reality, but
yeah,
without losing knowing that you can be anything that you want to be. You can be anything that is in you that you desire and want to express.
Yeah. Well, in fact, the truth is we already are that.
Yeah, but we wouldn't be having this conversation if we knew that.
Well, we did. We just got talked out of it.
Right. So again, back to the seedling in the pot. You want to nurture it in that you can help them see the contrast and difference between being told that you're limited versus knowing that you're unlimited. So you got to pull, you've got to work with the child to pull the weeds out. I got to keep coming back to these calls to identify, oh, some weeds have come up in me and stifling my geniusness. Yeah. We need that environment where we do that. And now a picture of a lioness and her cub, she's always grooming that cub. Like, this stuff does not belong on you, so let's groom you, even though because this world will put so much crap in your head, and at even a more rapid pace than ever before. A friend of mine was telling me the child wasn't even 1 year old and already knew how to go on to an iPad and swipe and get to the app and get to the cartoons. I'm like,
Yep.
Yeah, I like your analogy of a plant. And yeah, they might all know how to grow, but if you don't put, like, say, the seed in the ground, then it will die. So, like, you need a little bit of I don't know, like a little bit of, I don't know if you would say that common sense, but like at least like give them a little bit of foundation, right? So give them a little bit of like the ground, right?
Reference
so, like,
points. You give them reference points.
Because if like, and then you
they
have
already got
to
reference
like
points.
And like say like, like the plant is growing, but then like so many people are throwing trash at the plant. And if you don't pick up, if you're like, you're not helping a little bit, like to move the trash, then like the plant will probably die, right? So it might not be like a good analogy, but like,
no, I'm
I hope you kind of understand. me because it's like you don't want to be too much part of it, but you still want to be there, right?
Yeah.
So you want to be the gardener, but you don't want to be the plant that's growing beside him.
You don't want to stifle. You don't want to stifle your child. I remember my father, what my biological father, just not there. He came and helped me one time and just not there. And then soon after he died. But my nurturing father, he was always aware of who I was. He didn't press no real opinions on me. You know, there were general household rules. You came home, you did your chores, everybody contributed, and you came home at a decent time, so nobody had to worry about you. We certainly did not have cell phones back then. And even if we did, I still think there would have been an hour to be home by. And but he saw I had an interest in photography. So he just brought a camera in the house. He said, hey, this is for you to, play with, use, explore. He saw I was interested in painting. He bought easels and paints in the house, So he brought in things that would, so I could explore my beingness and have tools to work with to do that kind of exploration. I was interested in fish. He brought me a fish tank. You know what I'm saying? So he brought in the tools where he saw there was a light or an affinity to explore something. And so that's what I think we do as parents. My mother knew I liked the arts because I participated in some community dance event. So she was like, we didn't have a lot of resources, but she pulled her resources together and took me to the theater, like on Broadway, like something I had never experienced before that. Wow. So I think as parents, that's what we do. We create opportunity for exploration. Like they couldn't give me the world, and yet they gave me the world.
Yeah, exposure.
Yes.
Yeah. Wow, that's amazing. Hey, you guys, I have another call to be on, but you guys can stay on here if you want.
I'm going to go be ultra productive on another universal level and get my walk in.
Yeah, no worries. No worries.
Okay.
It's been beautiful.
Almost like you want to drive the child to the movie theater, but you don't want to sit right beside him.
Yeah.
Right? Kind of, right? Like, so.
Yeah. Same idea.
Yeah. So all love to you guys. Thank you so much for being a part of my heart, and I will bid you adieu.
Okay, well big love, Sindrell. That was really awesome today.
It was really good to be with you guys.
No, got you.
And I'm taking a rain check.
You got
it. Absolutely.
Yeah, you're funny.
Until tomorrow.
Craig.
Until tomorrow.
Yeah, big love.
All right,
taking
take
off
care,
too,
guys.
Pascal?
Yeah, well, yeah, by myself. I mean, I can talk to myself all day long, but so.
That's really glad. I just observed you covered a lot of ground today. So I'm really excited for you.
I spark a lot of little fire, I guess.
Yep.
Yeah, and I discover like who I really am and what's my purpose here. Very excited about it.
Well, and that that'll continue unfolding for the rest of your life too. I'll vouch for that. But yeah, every day mine unfolds and gets more clear, and it's like, oh, holy crap, you're that person.
Yeah.
Wow. Like it's like, whoa.
Yeah, no, exactly. And then you discover that you're so much more of the label you're putting on, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
Pascal,
Yes.
so I have a question. If this
Sure.
were your buffet, what did you take away for yourself today?
What did I take away?
Mm-hmm.
I can only take my portion,
Mm-hmm.
which is a nutmeg.
Mm-hmm.
I'm bringing the eggnog.
Are you spiking it?
I mean, like
I was just going to ask who's bringing the rum. I love nutmeg. It's my favorite spice of all time.
Mm.
Is it really?
Oh, totally. Yeah,
Maybe I haven't explored it.
Yeah, I have had a huge love affair with nutmeg since I was a little kid.
Ah, interesting.
It makes the French toast. You can't make it with just cinnamon.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
you
many
haven't
things.
tried. Like, I got to share this one. So maybe I can post it. But like, did you ever try like French toast made? So it's a vegan, I guess, a vegan recipe with banana.
Mm.
Oh, it's banana and then coconut milk, and I think it's got cinnamon for sure, and you can put nutmeg. But like, it's so much better. Like your French toast will be like, I don't know, like it was a hit every time.
With
Like
banana
I bring
and coconut milk.
Yeah. So you.
Wow. I'm
I
gonna
think
have to try that now.
2 banana.
No bread.
Yeah, you put bread. Yeah.
Oh, so
Yeah,
you whip it all together?
So you use
then
your
put the
bread
bread
like
in it?
same way as like you do your French toast, right? So instead of having eggs and batter or like the flour, or is it flour you put? No, I think you just put egg.
No, you just puree
Egg
the
and
banana
milk.
with your coconut milk. You puree that together,
Yeah, that's it. And then
and
like you put
that
like
would
the
become
spice.
your dipping
So
sauce.
Exactly. So you put the vanilla, you put maybe the nutmeg and the cinnamon. Oh my God. It's absolutely insane.
I'm gonna spoil somebody this weekend. If my kids come over, I'll make that for them.
Yeah, I'll try to find it, and then I'll share it with you guys. So
Yeah, that sounds good. I got it. I'll make that happen. I like food is such a wonderful way to like give people an amazing experience.
Well, it's connection for me, right?
It's love. That's why when you eat too much, they call it love handles.
Yeah.
I like that one.
Yeah.
Even though I don't have that love handles, maybe I don't eat enough. I don't know.
Just live a few more years, Pascal. They'll come.
Yeah, they'll come.
Yeah,
I promise.
Maybe. But I mean, like, if I look at my dad or grandfather and stuff, they were fairly slim, you know.
Yeah.
My dad was a rail. I don't take after his side of the. I don't take after his genes. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. But I'm very cautious in what I'm putting in my mouth, right? So yeah.
Okay, you guys, I gotta shut her down.
Yeah, no worries.
Okay, big love all around. This was great
today. You too, guys.
Been on here for 4 hours, believe it or not.
That's it. See, I didn't even I didn't perceive the time.
In linear time.
Yeah,
Yeah,
linear time. Yeah, but we took a lot of forays into nonlinear time. So there you go.
Yeah. Yeah, we had a high level consciousness.
Yes. Yep.
Right. So, and you guys were a
Consciousness soup.
big part of it.
Yeah. You guys helped me be comfortable with knowing and exploring myself more. So love you
Yeah.
guys. And no one's gonna leave. So I'm gonna make that happen for me. Not that sweeting is such sweet. Parting is such sweet sorrow.
Yeah, I never want to leave these things either, but yeah, but it's time.
Yeah, exploring like the whole self and have acceptance for it too, right?
Yes.
So
Yeah.
accept it all.
Yep.
Don't.
And value it all.
Funny, like my word today was relationship. I don't know
Yeah.
where it came from, but
Awesome.
yeah. So
Mine was synchronicity again.
nice.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay,
I'm hitting the
peace.
button.
Now it's the time. Okay.
Big
Have a
love.
wonderful day, guys.
Yeah.
Follow your
Bye.
bliss.